Cheddar. Yeah. You gotta eat them by the blocks. How? It's cheddar cheese. What is my calorie intake? It totally depends on the day. If it's a rest day, I chill out on calories. But if it's a workout day, I turn it up. I don't drink wine. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that. Healthy lifestyle. I never said I didn't do that stuff in the past, but I definitely would never do it again. That's my spiel on drugs and alcohol to you guys. I don't think it's cool. I don't mess with it. The best drug is mathematics and working out. It's the best drug. Cheddar cheese. Kiana. Do you guys have any questions for the test? Mm-hmm. If in my interval I can include 0, then I put a bracket. But if I can't include 0, then it must be a parentheses. So here's an example. The domain of f of x is equal to 1 over x squared. The only number x cannot be is 0. So we can never include 0. That's why you get that domain. And that's why we put parentheses instead of a bracket. But for instance, let's say f of x is equal to the square root of 2x squared minus 1. Okay? Now, what the restriction is, we don't want to take a square root of a negative number. We set the inside greater than or equal to 0. So one thing that leads to parentheses is your less than or your greater than sign. And what leads to brackets is your less than or equal to or your greater than or equal to. That is like as simplest as I can say it. So in this situation, we have to say greater than or equal to, because we can still take the square root of 0. That's just 0. Then when we solve for the domain, by adding a 1, dividing by a 2, and then taking the square root, let's say we take the principal square root. That means x has to be greater than or equal to square root of 1/2. Okay? So we would go and find that in interval notation. That in interval notation would be has to be greater than or equal to square root of 1/2. So we put square root of 1/2 and all the way to infinity. But we include it here. The brackets are included because of this little piece right here. That was for Carrie's question. Can we go over dividing numbers real quick? I don't have any specific questions, but I'm having a hard time with it for some reason. Do you mean like dividing numbers like 8 over 4, or do you mean like adding fractions, like adding and subtracting fractions? Oh, complex numbers. Dividing complex numbers. Okay. That makes more sense. Now I get what you're saying. Carrie, did I answer your question before we move on? Oh, good. So let's divide these complex numbers. 3 plus 4i divided by 2 minus 3i. The way you pull this off, guys, is you have to multiply the top and bottom by the complex conjugate. Recall the definition of complex conjugation. Given some arbitrary complex number a plus bi, you can complex conjugate it to become a minus bi. Furthermore, given a minus bi, you can complex conjugate it to get a plus bi. So whatever the sign in front of the complex number is, the complex imaginary part, you just flip it. So here the complex conjugate of the denominator is what we are wanting to multiply top and bottom of. So I put this plus 3i, flip the sign here. Then we move on with the calculation. So we FOIL or distribute in the denominator to get 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3i is 6i, minus 6i, because negative 3i times 2 is 6i. And then this becomes minus 9i squared. The top becomes 6 plus 9i plus 8i plus 12i squared. Notice that in the denominator, these middle terms can cancel. And notice that an I squared is the same thing as a negative 1. So this is negative 9 times a negative 1, which makes it a positive 9. So then I can rewrite this as 9 plus 4, positive. Let's look at the top here. 6 is going to be subtracted by 12 because although this was positive 12, it's multiplied times the I squared. I squared is negative 1. So this makes it a negative 12. And then we just combine these two to get me a positive 17i. Then the calculation results in 6 minus 12 is negative 6. plus 17i, everything divided by 4 plus 9, which is 13. Okay? And if we want our final answer to be in A plus BI format, then we distribute the 13 to the real part and to the imaginary part. Okay? To where we could claim that negative 6 over 13 is my A, and that 17 over 13 is my B. Does that help, Cody? How many times can we go over the review? Gilberto, I'm not sure. I guess you should just try and see what happens. Probably as many times as you want. Carrie, okay. Cody, come. Okay, good. Any other questions? You're welcome. How many questions are on the exam? Elizabeth, I can't tell you the answer to that question. All I can say is possibly the review would give you the best indication about how many questions there might be. Basically, I don't know the answer to that question. And even if I did know the answer to the question, I couldn't tell you, if that makes sense. Any other questions? Did I answer your question, Elizabeth? I answered your question by not answering your question, I guess. Thanks for that information, Carrie. Any other questions? No. Okay, so Carrie doesn't have any questions. So I'm not going to move on to any new material, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you time to finish off the rest of your homework assignments and study for the exam. Thankfully, the online system gives you feedback immediately on whether you're doing the problems right or not. So that's pretty cool. And you know, if nobody has any questions, then I can end the class because there's nothing else to talk about. You guys can get off and enjoy the rest of your 45 minutes of life. You're very welcome. Any questions, anybody? Let's see who, excuse me, let's see who's up in here. Ashley, Audrey, Cody, Drexel, Elijah, Elizabeth, Gilberto, Kiona, Tanner, Tyler, Zach. Any of you have any questions? Oh, wait, the exam work. Would we scan it? Nope, it's online. Good. Good to know, Elijah. No, it's all online. Your inputs are online, just like the homework. Thank you. Yeah, I could spend the extra 40 minutes doing some extra stuff. But I will help you guys out no matter what. So if anybody has a question, I will stay. If not, you guys can go. All right. See you guys later. Have a good night. Good luck on your exam. Although you don't need luck. All you need is hard work and dedication. So keep that up until we meet again.